is one way to get out of paying your child support.
Because I was ineligible to pay it. I was in the hospital. I died in a car accident.
What did he just say?
I died in a car accident.
You died in a car accident?
Yes.
Explain that.
No further.
The National Conference of State Legislatures reports that there's 15,831,904 child support cases in the nation. Approximately $108 billion is owed in child support in the U.S. $827 million is owed in child support just in the state of North Carolina. $15 million owed in child support in Buncombe County per year. Sheriff, command staff, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Cops Team 17. Before I get started, I want to introduce the team to you. From CID, Detective Dave Flanagan, Patrol, Deputy Vic Mormon, the guys from Detention, Sergeant Jason Gillis, Deputy Joseph Harrell, and of course every good Cops team, or with a group of these guys anyway, has to have somebody to keep them in line. Got Sergeant Courtney Mum. And all these pamphlets and everything you see in front of you, this team would not have been as organized if it wasn't for this young lady right here, Miss Taylor Mosley. I'm Deputy Shannon Fish. I've been with the Sheriff's Office for 15 years now, currently serving in child support enforcement. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with what COPS stands for, it's Community-Oriented Problem Solving. Now, the first day we were together, we learned about problem-based learning, the techniques that are used. Now, if these techniques are used properly, you can take a business, an organization, an agency, and catapult it from being good to great. Now, some of you might be thinking, child support, how does that affect the community? Is that really a community problem? Well, the answer is simple. You're all taxpayers. Remember the $108 billion I talked about that was owed? Out of all that money, 49% of that is owed back to the taxpayers. Now, the first day, the sheriff tasked this team with a problem. 300 unserved child support papers. That could be show cause orders, but more importantly, it's orders for arrest. The void left by parents who do not pay their child support directly impacts their children in a negative way and indirectly affects all of us. That's quoting the sheriff himself. Now, the Civil Process Division is who's tasked with this, trying to hunt down OFAs. With limited manpower, overwhelming numbers of papers, and the inability to spend the time to investigate the location of these deadbeat dads allow many of them to escape. We were tasked to think outside the box, to use this problem-based learning techniques to best implement a plan to serve as many of these papers as possible. But not just that, to come up with a solution, something that can improve the current process that is utilized. Now, any good COPS team, any successful team, has to have an action plan. In front of you, you'll see those that have been printed out. We printed those out because, as you can tell, our action plan is quite lengthy. We had a lot to get accomplished in a short amount of time. I'm going to go over just a few of these things. The rest of the team will go into these more in depth with you. Of course, training the first day. Again, problem-based learning right there at the top. Going over the action plans, good to great, our documentation process, and of course, permanent records. Child support, looking at the process and everything, coming together as a team, brainstorming, trying to come up with different solutions. Locate these targets. Of course, more importantly, make arrests. Bring these people to justice. Make them responsible for what they're doing. Planning and coordination of warrant roundups. We've done those 2 different dates. And of course, the future. Sustainability. Where we're going to be 5, 10 years down the road. Analyze and address issues. Look at different options. Identify untapped research outlets. All this has to come together in an action plan to succeed. We also reached out to other agencies, surrounding agencies, to see what their processes were, to see how they were doing things. Maybe they had information that could help us. Maybe we had information that could help them. One thing that's different with this team, and this makes my second team that I've had the opportunity to be on, is we were so proud of what we've done. We were so in depth into this problem that we actually wish to remain involved and together, to meet up at different times down the road and brainstorm and make sure what processes are put in place stay in place. This time I want to turn it over to Detective Flanagan.
Like my buddy Fish said, my name's Dave Flanagan. Currently work in criminal investigations. I've been with the department or with the office for a little over 10 years. The first thing that jumped out to me when we began this was the overwhelming amount of child support warrants we had outstanding. We pretty much have Deputy Fish and Corporal Wilds that are trying to do this day in and day out. It was a huge amount of work. I appreciated the opportunity to serve on the team because it gave me the chance to find out what my friends were dealing with. I had no idea that we had a situation that was in this bad a shape. Cops Team 17 believes in the Sheriff's vision of taking this office from good to great, and we understand that one of the best ways to do that is to increase and improve the level of service that we provide to our citizens. And in this particular case, our most vulnerable citizens, our children. Now again, one of the first things we noticed was the overwhelming amount, but then we saw that the information that they were oftentimes using was old. Some of these warrants, and therefore the addresses associated with them, were for the 1990s. So people were no longer there. So we knew we needed to get better information in order to have a chance to locate these subjects. Went about that in a few different ways. RMS, our One Solution Record Management System, that's where I started. I went to RMS first to verify that the outstanding child support warrant was in fact still there. We get a crystal report that's got all these names on it every week. There were a few names on here that when I checked in RMS, they had paid, they'd been recalled, whatever, the warrant was no longer there. The next thing that I wanted to do was check to see who the people were that we were going after. See if they were BCI notified offenders, if they were flagged as armed and dangerous, if they were gang associates, whatever we could find. Not so much for the people that do this every day that know these folks, but for when we had our roundups, we're bringing in the reserves for people that aren't familiar with them so they would know who they were going out on. And I'll show you what I do with that information. The third thing was to go into RMS and look at our address list. Now, the average deputy on the road, when he pulls up a subject's file, he looks at it, he sees that main address. He's going to think that that is the current address or at least the most recent. Well, we found out that's not the case. One guy in particular that I looked at, his address that was showing as his current address was, I believe, 4 years old, and going into his history, there was one from last month, but it had not been updated. So we knew we had our first problem we had to deal with. We contacted CDE, and Pat Freeman is working on the issue on their end to try to get them updated. And also, the Child Support Office is now sending the warrants directly to Sergeant Mum, and she is taking those and checking them herself and making any changes that need to be done. We've already done something to try to fix that. Next, I went to CJ Leeds. Again, I had a couple different reasons to do this. Two people that, again, were on the list are, in fact, incarcerated. I wanted to see if anybody was in prison. CJ Leeds also has address history, so I wanted to go through, compare what they had versus what was showing in RMS. Next, I went to TLO. I'd love to tell you what TLO stands for, but I don't have a clue. I can't find it anywhere. But I can tell you that you can find everything in TLO. Just want to read a couple of the sentences for you. You can leverage a trillion record database and supercomputer processing capability with this site. There are nearly 100,000 law enforcement officers across the country already using it. They had never heard of it. It was not being used. Chief Presley had never heard of it. That is now fixed. Sergeant Mum now has access to TLO, and she's able to use this thing. But when I say you can find out everything, I'm not kidding. Names, aliases, social security numbers, bankruptcies, foreclosures, liens, judgments, current, past addresses, phone numbers, both listed and unlisted for landlines and cell phones, relatives, neighbors, associates. I've had to go before to relatives when I'm on my normal duties, get in touch with them to have an idea where to find the person I was looking for. It says neighbors. They actually list neighbors' phone numbers. You can call up who they used to live next door to. I've used it to, again, using the phone numbers, been able to find a landlord if it's a rental property. Call that person up. Is this person still living there? Yeah, what have they done? A tremendous amount of information. any assets, licenses, driver's license, email addresses. You know, if they're a licensed contractor in Alabaster, Alabama, you can see when that license was issued. You'll have a better idea of knowing where they were when. Tremendous amount of information you can get on TLO. Using that, the 3 sites, I would create packets. I put examples at the end of each table that you feel free to go through. This is pretty much an average packet. You can see on this guy, he's a gang associate, so I had that highlighted. I would highlight what I thought were our 2 best addresses, our 2 best shots to find these people. And I always put that on either first or second page. TLO actually, the top page of their report is a table of contents. In these files, it'll be on the 3rd or 4th page, and you can see the corresponding page number for all the different information that was out there. Again, this is pretty average packet. It's about 35 pages. This is one man's packet, Milton Clark. 223 pages. The good thing about that, since I killed 2 acres of trees printing this thing out, is Vic happened to spot him driving down the road. We got him taken into custody. He was served. So I felt a little bit better about it after that. Another good thing about going through and compiling all these different files, and when it was all said and done, I probably did 175, 200 different files like this. I was able to go through the Crystal Report again. 42 people that are on here, as best I can tell, are no longer in Buncombe County. They may still be in another county in North Carolina. They may be incarcerated, or they may be in another state. I found a guy in Nevada, California, Texas, North Dakota, all over the country. I found these people. Once child support can verify that these people are no longer here, they come off of their books. They're no longer having to worry about them, and my friends are no longer having to go out and look for them. So hopefully it'll be worth it if in that for no other reason. At this point, I would like for us all to recognize our Uber intern, Miss Taylor Mosley. She was a huge asset through this. Every one of these files that I did, she would scan it into the system. She then alphabetized the first couple of pages of every one of these people, put them into a book. She attached them to our OCA number in our RMS system. Invaluable help, huge help. And if y'all would please join me for a little round of applause for Ms. Mosley. Thank you. Thank you very much. This is our press release that was prepared for us by Natalie Bailey. Thank you, ma'am. You should have a copy of that in your handouts. Feel free to read through it at your leisure. The main thing that you get from ours is it tells you our team is different. This has not been done before. The 16 teams before us would have an area that was having a problem. You went into that area and you fixed that problem. We had a problem that spread over the whole area. So it was a little bit different, and she was just telling people this is going to be different than what you've seen before. Social media, huge in today's world. One of the first things on our first day that we all agreed on was we needed a social media presence in order to try to get our information out. Facebook was the way we did. Again, Natalie Bailey set up our original page for us, put our mission on there, which was to solicit information from the public regarding the whereabouts of individuals who have warrants for non-support and assist the Buncombe County Sheriff's Office in locating these persons and arresting them. Again, Ms. Mosley made up our wanted posters for us. She was shown one time how to do it. After that, all we had to do was give her the name and the information, and then she created all of our warrant posters. They were used for 2 things. This is the first. After she would get them created, she would attach them into our Facebook page, and I'm going to show you our page here in just a minute, but the wanted posters are on there. If somebody's taken into custody, within 24 hours, they're taken back off the page. We don't just leave them up there once they've been arrested. We started out by putting up underneath their name, you know, captured, paid, whatever. We decided that wasn't good. Let's just get them off. So that's what we're doing. Again, it's a huge part of communication in today's world, and we wanted to utilize this valuable tool in order to increase awareness of what we're doing. So again, I'm going to log on to the page and show you some things, but the next thing you'll see in your handouts is a graph. It says week of July 14th through July 20th. I wanted to put that out for everybody so you could take a look at what our page has done. Our smallest number on here, in our, what they call the trend, which is where your page is going, is for our total page likes. We only had an increase of 243.5% from last week versus up. Pretty astonishing. Our weekly total reach increased 1,697.8%. So again, some pretty big numbers. But I wanted to show you some of these graphs. This first one is our total likes. It shows July 2nd, we had 0 likes. We go up through today, 1,561. Pretty substantial in 1-3 days. Now on our next graph, I'm going to show you, but you can't please everybody. But we haven't done too bad. In the time that the page has been up, we have had this person and this person that have unlocked our page. That's it. Only 2. And on one day, we had a total of 5 people that hid our post. Could have been somebody that saw their wanted poster. And they hide it. They see their boyfriend's wanted poster. They hide it. But again, the most we've had in any given day was 5. Not bad. This one, I was pretty astonished by. On July 16th, our post reached 29,599 people. That means 29,599 people saw something about this page on their personal Facebook. It could have been they saw the actual post, they saw somebody's picture, one of their friends saw it, made a comment on it, one of their friends liked it, it goes to all those friends. We reached a ton of people that one day. This shows that on July 20th, 46 people took the time to visit our page and to make a comment. They stopped whatever they're doing, they were going through Facebook, and they came to our page, either commented on a picture, commented on just our status, either. A lot of times they're putting stuff on there asking us to check into their baby's daddy, you know, mine owes however much money, and then they don't tell you his name. We have to go back and forth with them, but we're trying to stay on top of it with replying to everybody's posts. This one I'm going to change the view of so you can see it a little better. It shows that we received 840 referrals from WLS.com. They were surprised by that. 95.24% of all of our referrals came from the WLS website. But you can see Google, Fox Carolina, BuncombeCounty.org, Fox 8 Live. We received lots of different referrals. People clicked on us from those pages to bring them to ours. But the WLS number was pretty surprising to me. And this last one doesn't really show you a lot, but 46% of Facebook users are females, 63% of our fans are females. And again, it's because of our subject matter, but it's still a law enforcement site. And we've got that much female interaction on a law enforcement site. It's pretty good. 22%, our highest number of concentrated fans, are females aged 35 to 44. We've got a fan in Spain, we've got one in Afghanistan. Of course, we're all through North Carolina. But we've got Gaffney, South Carolina, Spartanburg, Knoxville, Tennessee, Livingston, New Jersey, Glendale, Arizona, Chesapeake, Virginia, all over the place. And somebody brought up a pretty good point. These could be people that their kids say, "Daddy, you're on Facebook." And he's living in New Jersey, and he goes to the page, and, "No, I am on Facebook." The only last thing that I want to show you on the actual site is our reviews. We've had a total of 73 reviews, 65 are 5-star reviews. It's a pretty good average. 4.8 out of 5. And our first review, Helen Hall, thank you very much. We appreciate it. You were a trendsetter. I want to show you some of the comments that people have put on our page. Ms. Fleming says, "It's an awesome page." Ms. Lewis, "I applaud Buncombe County for raising child support awareness and making the effort to find these offenders." Ms. Kelly, "Kudos to Buncombe County." Mr. and Ms. Byers, "McDowell County should do the same." Ms. Moffitt, "Wish Macon County would do this." Ms. Rosin, I wish New Hanover County would do this. The bottom one is one of our reviews. See, it's a 5-star review, and she says that all counties should have this. It's really been a huge hit. We knew that we needed to do something, but we really didn't expect we would get this much feedback out of it. It's really been a nice surprise. We also managed to generate some pretty good press coverage for the Sheriff's Office. The first one, I apologize, we have to go to the site in order for me to pull it up. They sent us a clean version of it, but it doesn't have the full story in it, so we didn't want to leave anything out.
Western North Carolina authorities say they're going after deadbeat parents in a whole new way. The Buncombe County Sheriff's Office set up an exclusive Facebook page to try and collect child support. Authorities tell us they're not shaming the people they're looking for, but they do want to get their faces out there.
This new initiative is getting a lot of complaints as well. Fox Carolina's Derek Dellinger in our news, or in the studio right now, I should say, on why deputies say they set it up in the first place. Derek?
Yeah, the Facebook page, you see it right here, and it actually shows all the people that are wanted right now, wanted posters of the people that they are looking for. Deputies say, oh, if you owe a lot of child support and are not paying up, you can wind up on this page.
They're being called child support fugitives, men and women who deputies say just are not paying up for their kids.
We were looking at the ones who were the furthest in the rears and also who had gone the longest without payment.
And their names, faces, aliases, last known addresses, age, height, and weight. They're now all over Facebook thanks to the Buncombe County Sheriff's Office. Deputies tell us these are among the worst of the worst, those who have so much to pay, but are not.
Would you say, or would you agree or disagree with this, that it's a way to basically shame them into paying?
Well, it's definitely a way to hold them responsible for what they're supposed to be doing.
But some see it a different way.
It is shaming them.
In tracking down one of those labeled a child support fugitive this afternoon, we came across Reginald Robinson. He used to live right next door to Vince Finley. Deputies say Finley is a deadbeat dad, and when we told Robinson what we were here for, he had some concerns.
I understand that you need to take care of your children. I take care of mine. I've always taken care of mine. I understand that, but I just think the Facebook page and how they're doing is a little bit too much.
Deputies say they're using social media now because they've been unable to track the people down themselves. And in the 3 weeks the program has been up,
They have picked up 34 individuals and collected $87,000 in child support.
That's an average of $2,500 a person. Those who pay up get their photo taken off. Those who don't, if they're caught, go to jail.
What they're failing to provide has a pretty serious impact on the kids that they're responsible for.
Now, we did try to track some of the people on this page down on our own to get their side on all this and how they feel about it. We were not successful, and the Parents' Rights Group we reached out to tonight did not get back to us.
All right, so is it worth asking, are other counties doing this at this point?
Well, not that we are aware of. We did call around to some of the big counties in our area in both North and South Carolina. One law enforcement agency who shall remain nameless, however, tells us no, but, quote, it sounds like a good idea, so we may not have heard the last of this just yet. Diane and Cody, back to you.
Now, the next day, WLOS did a catch-up story, but we'll still take it.
The Buncombe County Sheriff's Office has a new tool that's helping to catch child support offenders. It's a Facebook page that plasters their picture and information on the web. The Sheriff's Office calls them, quote, child support most wanted invaders. The social media site has led to information to catch them and to collect thousands in overdue child support.
As of today, we had 2 more, so we're at 36, and the purge amount is somewhere around $87,000. What will be garnered in from bringing these individuals in and getting them to come current on their child support payments.
The page has only been up about a month. The sheriff credits his community-oriented problem-solving team, or COPS, with coming up with the idea.
So we appreciate that news coverage, and it coincided with our Facebook spikes. People saw it, up to their site, came to ours. It really helped us a lot. Another thing we tried to do a different way to reach out to our community was going out to the different lunches that they have. We had every intention. We wanted to go to one for each week that we were our team. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. We did have a presence in Leicester and Fairview. Now, I mentioned the wanted posters earlier, but they were used for a couple different things. Again, thank you, ma'am. We would take wanted posters to whatever area it was for Leicester. We would take 5 or 6 different people. We would take several copies of those. And when we went to the lunch, we would say, these are the people we're looking for. These are your neighbors that are taking care of their kids. Any help you can provide us, we would greatly appreciate. We did get some feedback from that as well. Now I'm going to turn it over to Patrol Deputy Vic Mormon. He's going to tell you about a little community outreach that he did on his own.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vic Mormon. I'm currently assigned to the Patrol Division of the Buncombe County Sheriff's Office. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the community outreach assistance that we utilize to help combat some of this problem that we're dealing with child support offenders. Since the first day of the COPS Team 17, the community has played a major role in providing valuable information leading to the apprehension of many child support offenders. The community has reached out in several different ways to provide valuable information to the team via Facebook, email, phone calls, face-to-face interaction, etc., which in turn has led to the apprehension of many of the child support offenders. With the utilization of Facebook, being able to expose the offenders' faces has forced some of the offenders to voluntarily pay their purchase once they realized they were exposed. My personal Facebook page has generated many, many hits that have helped me and the team with correct addresses that we didn't have. Some of the offenders were using different names that we didn't know about in the neighborhoods. And also they provided us with information of different hangouts that we may locate these offenders and job sites. They were very, very helpful, instrumental in providing us with that information. With efforts put forth between the community and the COPS team has definitely shown a prime example of how the two entities engaged in a problem together can provide a positive outcome to the problem at hand. And I say this, utilizing the community and the COPS team, the sheriff definitely supports that. On the wall over there, when you get a chance to read that, they'll tell you. We utilize that concept for this team. Meat and potatoes. Somebody's got to arrest these people. Somebody's got to bring them in. Enforcement. I was a great part of that. Since the first day of the COPS team, June the 30th, 2014, there have been 43 arrests made of the approximately 300 outstanding child support offenders that we received on day one. These 43 arrests had a total purge amount of $137,157.31. We've had 10 offenders to voluntarily turn themselves in to pay their purges. The total purge amount was $35,786.14. Folks, we have a combined total of $172,943.45. That's astronomical. We made some headway. That's hard work. Child support offenders were apprehended by the utilization of different apprehension tactics, such as individual officer apprehension, dual officer apprehension, as well as the entire COPS team coming together with other outside agencies, okay, and Buncombe County Reserves to formulate a roundup team. This would better saturate the areas of Buncombe County and surrounding counties to apprehend these child support offenders. In other words, it's putting a lot of boots on the ground. Some of the child support offenders arrested also had other additional warrants. A total of 12 criminal warrants were served. That's between Corporal Wiles and I. We were able to apprehend subjects that had other criminal warrants. With the roundup team, it consisted of these agencies. And I don't like to thank these agencies. I wish they were here that we can thank them personally, but they're not. We had Henderson County. We had Madison County. We had Haywood County. We had Woodfin PD, Weaverville PD, Black Mountain PD, and other entities within our department, such as the reserves, SROs, civil process, CDE, and communications, all coming together to work towards one common goal. Here's a picture of a guy that kind of looks like me. I'm not sure if that's me or not, but yeah, that's me. But this is us working in a semi-undercover capacity to apprehend one of the suspects that we were looking for. Finished product there. Here is basically the fruits of our labor, which if you turn to the right, you can see on the board there. I don't know if you want to call it the Hall of Fame or the Wall of Shame. You know, I don't know. Whatever you want to consider it as. But there you go. That's the work that we put in. All of our arrests made were performed in a manner to where there were no other incidents involved. No foot chases, no trips to the hospital, no IA complaints, nothing. It was all voluntary arrest. I would like to, at this point in time, kind of introduce you to a young lady. She placed phone calls to the sheriff's office in great concerns that we needed to deal with her ex-spouse. She was very adamant that we do something about it, and fortunately, we were able to accommodate her with that. Introduce you to Sarah Turner. She would like to speak to you about how the cops team helped her apprehend the father of her child whom had neglected to provide his part of the financial responsibility of the child support obligation to her over an extended period of time. I would like to give her the floor to let her speak with you about that. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Sarah. This is totally out of my comfort zone. I'm here because I appreciate every one of y'all, and I appreciate these officers, and because of you helped me, that's why I'm here. I'm glad that this is being so successful, and I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. I have a 5-year-old, her name's Jaylee. The past 5 years has been a huge struggle. I had a pretty awful life with my ex-husband, and I've always been the provider for my daughter, always. Even when we were together, I was the one that kept the job. I was the one that put food on the table and did everything. So about a year ago, after everything was said and done, I got custody of my daughter. And that was just a dream come true that I have custody of her, but he has a visitation. So I've still been providing for her, and he hasn't paid since last September. So it's been a really big struggle this year, just getting full custody of my daughter and just trying to do everything and just support her the way that she needs to be supported. So I got a little concerned. I think we had court in February, and I still wasn't receiving help. I showed up, tried to do everything I could do. He didn't show up, so that's when he got the warrant out. And so I was still trying to do everything I could do. Didn't really know what I could do to help, to get help. So I seen the Facebook post. I seen the Facebook page through a friend at work, told me to go on there and look. And so I did. I had been trying to contact some officers over the summer because I was worried about school starting. It's expensive. I'm sure y'all have children, you know it's expensive. So I was really worried about just getting her school clothes, making sure she has everything she needs. So I did this for our daughter. I stepped out and I spoke with Vic, and he was very willing to help me. So what I did was I said, you know, maybe I could have him meet me somewhere and not have Jaylee with me, and maybe y'all can like bring him in so we can get help sometime before August, so we could have help. And so what they did was just professional, like they had compassion. For me, I felt super comfortable just meeting him, you know, and just, you know, they were there, just super professional. I brought my husband now with me to feel a little bit more comfortable. It was awesome that he brought him because I didn't know. I thought it would be one officer, it was two, which also made me feel more comfortable. And I just want to say thank you. They brought him in, and I called child support. I should be getting something next week, which is perfect because now I can go school clothes shopping for her and make sure she has everything she needs. And I just want to say thank you. And what this is just awesome. And sorry I'm all like, but I'm really thankful for every one of you. So, and I hope that this really helps.
With that being said, I'd like to turn the floor over to Sergeant Jason Gillis to speak with you about stakeholders. Thank you very much, folks.
Thanks, Steve.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. As he said, I'm Sergeant Jason Gillis with a detention facility. Been here 9.5 years. The first thing, part of what we wanted to do with our team was meet our stakeholders, the ones who are feeding off of this. First thing we did, we wanted to learn from the ground up. We wanted to learn for ourselves as well as everybody else. We met with child support right out of the gate, actually in this room, and came up with some problems they were having. Number one being evaders, the ones who are running, not wanting to pay their child support. Two, family and friends of those evaders, harboring them, hiding them, and helping them out. And another one being them needing more boots on the ground to find these folks. Again, we met with child support a little later on. Issues that were brought up is that child support officers of the opinion that work release has not worked in the past for child support issues. Electronic monitoring negates contempt and can only be used in criminal matters. We're still looking into part of that through Lynn Melton and Barry Masters. Offenders have been ordered to look for a job through the courts rather than actually have a job. We learned that for the non-custodial parents, as I may refer to as NCPs later on, there's three types. We've got your willing and able, your willing and unable, and you're completely unwilling. Your willing and able is someone who'd be completely compliant, want to fulfill their obligations, take care of their children, do what's expected of them. Willing and unable, parents who are willing to accept that responsibility, who want to take care of their kids, but for some odd reason, some type of something that's happened to them in life, whatever, is not able to. You're unwilling. These MCPs are unwilling to comply with their responsibilities at all. They even make up for 90% who are in a court on a regular basis that you folks see regularly. Approximately $1.2 million is collected in child support monthly in Buncombe County. Over $13 billion has been collected as of June 30th of this year, this past fiscal year. North Carolina ranks number 24 in the nation. Pennsylvania is number 1. Court process. Again, we started from the ground up to learn all we could. July 1st, we sat in on court hearings to establish child support for these NCPs. We again, a week later on July 7th, were in court for the enforcement court hearings. After that, we met with Judge Julie Keppel. Very passionate about this subject. Should be completely up for a feasible program and would be willing to bulldoze the effort depending on what she had on her plate at that time and she was able to. She's a big fan of Fathers Forever program out of Wake County. It's a program where parents avoid jail by continuing to work at their jobs while wearing electronic GPS monitoring. Glenn Warren's the executive director of this program, however, overseen by Judge Kristen Ruth. Lynn Melton was so nice to meet with us with the Public Defender's Office. She agreed to any program that is started or is brought up or initiated. We'll need also an attorney to spearhead that drive. Another issue would be finding the right candidates, considering not everybody would be the right candidate for that. Workplaces will need to be found for the ones who are not employed. If somebody's already employed, their employer will have to agree to this, work with them, or through other ways we could find workplaces where they would. Amy Griffith with RHA was helpful with finding out how to define the barriers for these folks. Said Goodwill was more than happy to work with them. Finding out why they were not able to pay, whether it be drugs, alcohol, anything of that nature. They would be more than happy to do the screening for this through the courts to see
and figure out your right candidates, as I was speaking of, as well as veterans wrapped up in the child support system and possibly involved in the VA. Detention. Had meetings with Major Matiabas, Captain Allen, Lieutenant Gould. Jail doesn't receive any funds for civil warrants. With that being said, each of these folks who were in custody on civil matters, it costs $107 per day to house that inmate. Last year in 2013, this added up to $271,138. That's 7% of the detention facility's total operating expenditures. We bounced around the idea with the work release. It must be court ordered or suggested by the court. However, after that, there is an application process for them to meet. One speed bump might be insurance or transportation on those folks. And no matter what type of work they're doing, they could be an attorney making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, or they could work at McDonald's for minimum wage. They have to pay a $20 per fee flat rate each day to go to work. We also talked about garnishing inmates' accounts. Any deposits were made into their inmate account. Need a request from child support and the judge, and Major Matiabas was so kind to say, not a problem doing it, we can take it, that's all we need. Pre-trial, Jason Ratcliffe shed some light on something we weren't aware of. Everybody's aware of GPS monitoring, ankle bracelets, things of that nature. He told us there were 5 bracelets set aside for child support we didn't know about. As of right now, they're being used for other things because they're not being used for child support. However, could be transferred right back to that if need be, very easily. And also, they would be responsible for the monitoring. The idea we thought of also was the reserve deputies. We understand that they're assigned to certain tasks within the sheriff's office. If they were able to break free or were called up or something of that nature, could break free for a day and could assist with child support warrants. But as we know, that's not completely feasible as a long-term or a permanent thing. Talked to several other counties as far as how they handle the child support warrants. Haywood County, they only have 1 officer assigned to child support warrants completely. Henderson County, their warrant division of 5 officers, and this is not only child support, but all their warrants that they handle through the sheriff's office are done by those 5 officers, including child support. Rutherford County, their warrants are served by the road officers. Show cause orders are handled by the 1 civil process officer who can help with OFAs when he is called up. Yancey County warrants are served by patrol units as well. They actively seek out child support warrants and in fact have a detective working with them from time to time. Mecklenburg and Charlotte has 2 officers assigned to child support, and before long I was told they were getting 4 more to make them 6 total for child support only. Wake County and Raleigh has 2 officers who serve the show cause orders. Their warrants are served by patrol. There are over 100 caseworkers, however, for child support. They do a lot of the legwork as far as finding these folks, tracking them down, and then go back to the warrants to where they can be brought in. Gaston County, 2 officers assigned to child support who serve both show calls and their warrants. Folks, we're ahead of the curve. Really are. Doing really well. So it's time I'm going to turn it over to Deputy Joe Harrell. He's going to take you through some other ideas we're coming up with.
As Sergeant Gillis mentioned, my name is Joseph Harrell. I'm a deputy assigned to the jail. I've been with the sheriff's office for 1 year and 10 days. When I sat here, yes, thank you. When I sat here the first day, I was just overwhelmed at the experience that was in the room, and the lease being 9.5 years, and didn't have an excuse. But I'm here for a year and 10 days. I'm thankful for the opportunity to be on the comps team. The things that I've learned from teaming up with Corporal Wilds and Deputy Mormon are going to stay with me throughout my career. Riding along with them, first couple days, Corporal Wilds taught me how to use the computer, generate calls through MCT, and then after that, he would always turn the computer over to me, which I was thankful for that. Riding with Deputy Mormon, he knows everybody in the county. I'm pretty positive. They're all his Facebook friends, and if you're not, get with him afterwards. So with that, I got to serve OFAs, order for arrest, and I got to arrest people in the whole process, which was really exciting for me. The first day we were asked to come up with ideas to combat this issue of child support, to get the money owed to the custodial parents, just like you saw with Ms. Turner. And I mentioned a work release type program. And after meetings with Judge Keppel and Amy Griffith and Leanne Melton, who the day that we met her said that she had a candidate at the moment that was a good person for this idea that we were coming up with. We also learned that there has been a work release program in the past, and we want to kickstart that program again. Of course, the candidates need to be willing to work or already have a job. One thing that I learned is North Carolina established the first prison work release program in the nation in 1957. This allows prisoners to leave prison each day to work for a business in the community. And as the fiscal year 2013-2014, the North Carolina DOC has received $12,246,620.14 from work release programs. Of that, a total of $163,282.97 has been collected for child support. Just to break that up, and this is courtesy of Gary Cox and Ruby Bedingfield from the Department of Public Safety. They broke it down for me. Court-ordered child support, of that $82,000 was brought in. Social services requested child support was $10,000. A number that I thought was interesting, voluntary child support, these people that are incarcerated, $69,000 was brought in to pay out to those custodial parents who take care of the kids. And that is our concern. The parent who is in need of this money, as we saw, physically, they need it. They need it to take care of these kids. And a work release program that is coordinated does work. Through this, we learned that this can happen. A lot of these non-custodial parents ask for criminal contempt. When they're in court, they're caught, they just want to spend 30 days in jail. They sit there, $107 a day goes to waste because these people don't want to do anything. They don't want to help pay for their kids. So they're wasting our time and our money and our resources to just sit there. Under North Carolina General Statute 5A-12A3, it says a person who commits criminal contempt by failing to comply with an order to pay child support is subject to censure, imprisonment up to 30 days, a fine not to exceed $500, or any combination of the three. However, a sentence of imprisonment up to 120 days may be imposed for a single act of criminal contempt resulting from the failure to pay child support, provided the sentence is suspended upon conditions reasonably related to the continuous payment of child support. So these people, which makes up 90% of the people that come into court, can be put to work through community service, something that we can make them do, and of course if they do not do this, we can impose sanctions on them for various reasons. And next, by statute, North Carolina statute is declared to be the public policy of the state of North Carolina that all able-bodied prison inmates shall be required to perform diligently all work assignments provided for them. And just like Sergeant Gill said, the idea of monitoring was mentioned, and access to these devices is available. And so right now I'm going to go through the RHA Reentry Services Plan, this work release plan for child support that is already available and can just be started over again. RHA will be responsible for screening a candidate for this program. The individual will be supervised by pretrial. Non-compliance will have consequences. They'll enter into a community partnership, whether it be a job through Goodwill or something like that, and they will be responsible for working. The district court judge agrees to motivate the offenders towards success, and that's what we want to do. We don't just want to lock these people up. We want to, if they are willing to, get a job so that they can further themselves and also help out the however many kids they have, so they don't fall back into the same rhythm of being picked up every couple months. RHA will coordinate with the Defense Council and Child Support Enforcement to help support these people in their compliance. And of course, there'll be a case manager assigned. Pretrial release will monitor these offenders' progress, and of course, they are not going to go unchecked. Through this program, they will be submitted to warrantless searches if they're in the jail, coming out of the jail, or if they're living at their house, being monitored. At any time, we can check to make sure that they're on the right path. Supply a breath, urine, and/or blood specimen for analysis. Make sure that they're out of the bottom and they're rising up in society. And make every reasonable effort to encourage them, and of course, let them know that there will be consequences. And a court-appointed defense attorney will ensure the rights of the offender are protected, and they will aid in the achievement of the offender's long-range rehabilitative goals. And of course, Buncombe County Sheriff's Office will agree to make referrals to jail diversion staff when appropriate, and encourage the warrant squad to prioritize services of OFAs and warrants when workload allows. I know when I was in court, a lot of them, they had jobs and they wanted to keep them, but it was just, daily life was getting to them, so they were trying their best to do something. And we can work with those individuals to make sure that they pay what they need to pay. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sergeant Mum.
Good afternoon. I just want to share something with you before we start. I returned a phone call just before I came in here from a young lady who had asked about the Facebook page and asked if her ex could be placed on the page, and I said absolutely. She also said, well, he won't be back into town until Saturday. He's on a cruise. She says he can't pay his child support, but he can go on vacation. And these are the people that we want to put on the Facebook page that on Monday we will be making a diligent effort to pick up. Cops Team 17 began this 30-day assignment with the intention of serving as many civil OFAs for non-support as possible. It was apparent in the beginning that there were other obstacles that needed to be addressed. We encountered dozens of warrants with bad addresses and addresses that were not updated by CDE when warrants were being entered, requiring additional research by the serving deputy. This directly impacts the deputy's ability to efficiently serve warrants and requires significant downtime researching whereabouts of offenders. Information regarding wanted offenders was not shared with the public. Public was not encouraged to participate in locating offenders in the past. Jail housing for offenders drains the jail's operating budget. The jails are not reimbursed by the state for civil warrants, and Buncombe County taxpayers absorb that cost. As recently as 2012, programs for monitoring and work release for offenders were in place, but were unsuccessful. Joint cooperation between Buncombe County Child Support, Public Defender's Office, RHA, Buncombe County Detention Facility, and Buncombe County Courts has been absent. The courts were essentially releasing offenders for a small fraction of their purge amount. For an example, on Tuesday, the last Tuesday we were in court, the judge reduced an offender's purge from $40,000 to $500 so he could be released from jail. Our recommendations after 30 days, the Buncombe County Sheriff's Office Child Support Enforcement members will continue to utilize all research options available to locate hard-to-find offenders, to include TLO, RMS, and CJ leads, and we will enlist the assistance of child support services to provide additional information as needed. The Buncombe County Sheriff's Office Child Support Fugitives Facebook page will be maintained and kept current by child support enforcement members, myself, Corporal Sean Wilds, and Deputy Shannon Fish, by updating arrest statuses, uploading offender wanted posters, providing links to useful child support information, and replying to Facebook posts. However, community participation is the key to this tool being a success, so we will definitely have to keep up with that. We will continue to provide offender information for dissemination to Mountain's Most Wanted, which we do on a monthly basis to Miss Natalie Bailey. We will post wanted posters for hard-to-find offenders in areas where he or she lives and works. As an example, Corporal Sean Wilds posted a wanted poster at the Sitgo on Amboy Road. It got the attention of an offender living in Pisgah View Apartments, and subsequently he turned himself in. We will continue to investigate the use of monitoring and work release as viable tools for collecting unpaid child support. In the past, these programs have not been successful, but we would like to bring the stakeholders together to iron out any wrinkles that may be present with the use of these programs. Additionally, if these programs are successful, the jail could potentially be reimbursed for housing child support offenders. I am receiving copies of newly issued warrants for Child Support Weekly. I am comparing the warrant addresses to the RMS file and changing the RMS file to reflect the most current addresses, thereby alleviating the deputy from having to do unnecessary research. We will follow up with the Buncombe County Sheriff's Office Reserve Program supervisors to enlist the assistance of permanently assigned reserve deputies in serving outstanding civil OFAs for non-support during evening and weekend hours. Reserve deputies would be beneficial in helping to locate offenders not home during regular work hours. We will provide a brochure outlining the role of the Buncombe County Sheriff's Office as it pertains to child support enforcement. Intern Taylor Mosley was instrumental in creating this brochure, and a copy is included in your packet. The Facebook page, as well as a newly created email address specifically for Buncombe County Child Support Enforcement, will be included on the front cover. So underneath here where it says the Child Support Unit phone number, we're also going to include directions to the Facebook page, and we have a new, brand spanking new email address. And Deputy Fish and Corporal Wilds came up with the idea of a joint task force. Will be a unit comprised of surrounding county sheriff's offices. We could share information on suspects in each county, could meet monthly to share info and possibly conduct joint roundups. And if these officers are duly sworn, to apprehend Buncombe County offenders which may reside in surrounding counties. So a lot of our folks living in Haywood, Henderson, and we can just go over there and get them. We would also like to do a little research into a federal task force. In case you weren't aware, you can charge someone federally for failing to pay their child support. And we'll also research the availability of grant funds to fund such a program. Our accomplishments: we made 43 arrests. We had 10 folks come in and pay their purges. 42 offenders are believed to be out of the county. So 34% reduction in total OFAs for child support in Buncombe County. We served 12 additional criminal warrants to include assault on a female, driving while license revoked, threatening phone calls, and a fugitive warrant for a jail escapee from Barrow County, Georgia. The creation of a Facebook page, which has been a huge success, is illustrated by the number of hits and contacts that we've had. Our collaboration with other agencies, to include Woodfin, Weaverville, and Black Mountain, as well as Child Support and RHA, the Public Defender's Office, the detention facility, and the courts. With no further ado, I would like to thank Sheriff Van Duncan and the command staff, jail administrators Major Glenn Matiabas, Captain Scott Allen, and Lieutenant Tony Gould, the Buncombe County Reserve deputies, Captain David Sharpton, Deputy Aaron Zaval from Patrol, Corporal Sean Wilds, who is not officially a member of the COPS team, but he was with us every day. Bless him. Intern Taylor Mosley, thank you for all the awesome help. The Buncombe County SCET team, Kevin Presley, who is our COPS team facilitator. He's also a retired law enforcement officer and a tree farmer. Lieutenant Kevin Calhoun, a COPS team facilitator. Public Information Officer Natalie Bailey, thank you, ma'am, you were most helpful. Deputy Jason Ratcliffe from Tree Trial, Woodfin Police Department. Chief Brett Holloman, Black Mountain Police Department. Chief Steve Paget, Weaverville Police Department. Chief Greg Stevens, Buncombe County Child Support Services, thank you very much. Child Support Supervisors, Crystal Miller, who's not here. She's on vacation. Miss Kathy Causey, thank you. Miss Pam Caldwell, thank you. Barry Masters, Esquire, the Child Support Services Attorney. District Court Judge Julie Keppel. Miss Leanne Melton with the Public Defender's Office, Amy Griffith with RHA Health Services, Pat Freeman and CDE, WLOS, and Fox News. Now we would like to entertain any comments and questions.
Guys, that was incredible. And what you accomplished was huge. And what we call in the teaching world or in the leadership world, that was your authentic story that you brought in. And that's the best pat on the back you can get when you go out here and impact somebody's life and the life of that young person that she's supporting pretty much by herself till you guys got involved. So that's awesome. And I'm sitting there and you take the ownership on to do a pamphlet that better communicates the sustainability moving forward. You want to keep your Facebook up and going, which is added on to what your daily duties are because you know it's impactful and it continues to do the good work that you're doing. So what you did individually in this COPS team is extraordinary. But what I want to do is kind of jump out of that for just a second and take a look at what this process of doing the COPS teams have done for the Sheriff's Office. We don't have to push this anymore. This has become part of the culture of how we do business. So much so that Natalie Bailey can do a press release and explain this program. Helen Hall can explain it to people coming and going. You guys understand the whole concept behind it, and not only do you understand it, but you believe in it, and you can tell other co-workers and your peers about it. So, pretty dadgum awesome over the past 2 years, what 17 teams have accomplished in moving the sheriff's office forward. I look back over everything from the Buncombe County Fit thing. That was a COPS team project that started that was a good idea that the county recognized and made a county-wide program. What you guys did, other law enforcement agencies have seen, it got reported on out of state, and other law enforcement agencies are probably going to follow suit and do a Facebook page. It's so much of our culture that Sherry Powers, who's been, how long have you been here, Sherry? 3 years. 3 years. She understands enough about the total operation of the sheriff's office that when DOJ, their COPS program, which is the overall grant funding program, asked her for a synopsis and a write-up on this COPS team program. You know, we won a NACO award for it, nationally recognized. Well, she knew enough about it to write it up. She said, I just did kind of a halfway job, I thought, but she wrote it up and it was extremely detailed, sent it to them, and we're getting ready to be featured nationally with DOJ's COPS programs for extraordinary work in the field by an agency. And that's going up on their website. Folks, that's big stuff. And guess what? You did it. That's the one thing, and thank goodness they got it in there at the end. That's the one thing that I really tried to stress to WLOS. This is not my idea. It is not. It is a collaborative idea amongst the people who do the work every day, who are at the level that best know how it needs to be implemented. I'm just very appreciative, and I hope you folks are as proud of yourselves as I am proud of you, because this kind of thing is what makes this agency extraordinary. So thank you very much for the work.